I'm going to read a poem of mine from the Glad Book, which is my rendering of what the Hebrews called Tehillim and the Greek Psalms. And this is number 20, which is for 2153467 Sapper Wilfred Jackson RE, who died on the 24th of September 1945 in South Italy. In the argument concerning the part that environment plays in forming the life of man, both in the general and in the particular, I am more and more inclined to favour the view of Plato that man is a slum dweller, because he makes his world a slum. He is, that is, a slum maker, slum poet. I remember the street where I grew up in Leeds. It was red brick, regular terrace, back to back, cobbled street, cul-de-sac, no gardens or dooryards, with a midden housing shared lavatories and dustbins to every 3 houses or so. It was neither squalid nor Spartan, far from rowdy, but certainly not rich with un-English sentiments of good neighbourliness. It was moderate in everything. The folks were proud, but not standoffish, cheerful without making anything of it, mindful of others, yet keeping themselves to themselves. They were, as I think back, pretty much as I would want and expect such folks to be, a sort of unassuming ordinary in everything they did and dressed in. And I don't remember any occasion over that time of actual misdemeanour. Though, of course, there were certain families, common, my mother called them, who let the neighbourhood down. And these we were to have nothing to do with, because their bad example was a danger to us all. The children swore and made rude gestures at their parents, right in the street in front of anybody. And that was the worst iniquity I grew up understanding. It was a mild and gentle upbringing, right in the middle of World War II. And I value it because it was ordinary, even-paced and just, and undemanding, full of a kind of neighbourhood self-respect. They've knocked it all down now. But before they did, it showed a sociological putrefaction, a national decay, so that what they ultimately levelled with bulldozers to widen for a roundabout was a slum, a garden overgrown with things that I had never known in all the time I lived there, 18 years. It had become a street of vandals, fights and drunkenness, of drugs, neglected children, prostitutes, litter and broken doors and broken bottles, and the strangest thing of all, the earth as it were got restless, and as if there were giant moles attacking underground, the cobbles heaved and sunk, and the whole street surface that had for 18 years kept still that I could count on, now seemed to turn in its coming grave on nervous turmoil. I've tried to think why. The flagstones of the pavements that we played on at Whippantop, nurses, cricket, hopscotch, marbles, we tested them all right, they were rock solid, had cracked and dipped, as if in some conspiracy against the level. You couldn't play anything on them now but marbles, where the hollows and ledges and crannies were the faults that made the game the fun it was. And even running, which was how we moved, must have been done at hazard. People had chalked on their own walls. Old toys were left abandoned. Bits of motor car were left about like dog muck, and the very air was hostile, smelly. Tedious hopelessness festered in some ancient suppuration, as if it had been always so. I suppose that Adam saw a similar change coming about him. Trees that gave no fruit, or fruit that soon went rotten or got scab, and weeds rampaging, shrubs acquiring thorns, water that left its course, blocked drains that stank and made marsh vegetation, elsewhere scarring the earth to wilderness. to sorry spoil heaps, shunned and cursed with barrenness, fruitless animals and freaks, diseases, pestilences, and the slow, inevitable appreciation of death. Everything on the down, the vast, unfolding interest of sin, the whole earth slum, man-made. Jesus said, defilement comes from inside a man outwards. The slum is deep within him, his mouth's the gate of wickedness. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things that make a man a slum. Rejoice, my people. Rejoice all Holbeck. From Water Lane to far Beeston, rejoice. Sing unto the Lord domestic street. Elland Road be glad. The Lord shall come to Beggar's Hill. Cemetery Road shall rise up to heaven. Praise ye the Lord, the Rothses, Colenzos and Recreations. Sing praises, ye Altofts, Malverns and Bucktons. Let Little Town Lane rejoice in the Jubilee. Let Perseverance Street give thanks. Tempest Road rest in peace. For the Lord is the Lord of all. He is God of all past ages as well as this present. He is Lord of the streets and neighbourhoods that have gone to make way for our passing. He is Lord of those who will come to destroy our houses. Praise the Lord, Middleton, Belle Isle, Lane End Place. Rejoice from Armley Jail to Crossflats Park, from the old Dry Salters up to Tommy Wass's. For Hull and Halifax shall confess his name, as sure as all hell, and Huddersfield and Hunslet.